And welcome back to Shelf Center. This is Bryce. Thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for liking and subscribing. If this is something you end up enjoying, you never know, it could happen. This is my continuation of my series of recommendation videos for certain books that fall into certain categories, whether it be fast-paced science fiction, fantasy, slower paced, more lyrical, character-focused authors, those kinds of things. So I decided, I already did fast-paced fantasy, now we're into fast-paced science fiction, so let's jump right into it. First things first, this, your mileage may vary on this. I absolutely love it, but I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but that's going to be Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I absolutely had a blast with this. You just blaze through it. It's very straightforward, lots of fun. The movie was fine. It doesn't quite do it justice, I think, but it's really just a fun, like if you love 80s and you love kind of a near future that seems pretty realistic, but also an Easter egg hunt, with mystery and all kinds of things. The criticism is fair to be like, I've learned in reading other Ernest Cline books, he likes his particular version of the 80s culture, not necessarily anyone else's. So, and it gets more gatekeeping in his next book after this, not necessarily in the sequel. And the sequel definitely felt like a straight cash grab. So I get it. All those criticisms are valid, but I still absolutely love Ready Player One. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great slump buster if you're in a bit of a reading slump. All right, a number of these I don't have physical copies for. I either was Kindle or audiobooks, so let's jump into those. The next is, I couldn't really decide, so I decided to kind of list them both. Even though this is a top 7 list, we're going with kind of 8. But this is going to be The Martian or Project Hail Mary. Either one could fit under this. Maybe I'm just kind of, because it's the same author. But Andy Weir, a blast. They're just so much fun. The pages fly. You keep turning because you're sucked into the mystery. You're somehow sucked into science. Literally, like, the best parts of both of these is just the science that's getting done, and you're just excited to go how he's calculating the next thing, and it's just so fascinating to just see how that works. I just think Ware did such a wonderful job of keeping you going and keeping those pages turning, because these are fascinating just characters. Is it the same character? Kind of, a little bit, but it works so well that I was happy to see it again, let's just say. So anyway, just a blast. Absolutely love it. All right, you may or may not agree with me on this one, but I think it's true. I felt like it was pretty fast-paced, and I kind of blazed through these. So, and again, just because the action just never let up throughout. There really wasn't a slowdown, but it's going to be Red Rising by Pierce Brown. In fact, the whole first trilogy. I have not read the sequel trilogy. They seem bigger, and therefore I'm led to assume, probably falsely, that they're a little slower than these, but these ones were fast-paced for me, and absolutely just, you get right into, the plot of this is so entertaining, and, it's a survival and kind of some YA tropes. I can see why it was listed as YA, even though I definitely don't think these books are YA, but definitely has that kind of more modern sensibilities to kind of pushing a narrative forward, but not unlike like Hunger Games or things like that, but I think just done a whole lot better, in spades better. So anyway, just a blast to read that, and again, good slump buster there. Then these are kind of inherently, just fast-paced because they're so short for the most part, almost all of them except for one actual novel length, but that's going to be All Systems Red is the first book, but The Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells, I just think. And again, you kind of have to like the same thing. it's a lot of the same thing over and over again, but it is absolutely fun. Just a advanced, robot, also known as a security unit or sec unit, and it just, but it develops an affinity for like kind of human culture through TV shows, and so it's just fun and to just kind of analyze, I guess, the human state through this kind of a little biased party. I was going to say unbiased, but a little bit biased, let's be honest. But it's really funny. Not everyone thinks that, I know, but I think it was absolutely funny. The overall, I've absolutely had a blast with them. I still need to read the last one because I have just loved the series so much. And again, they're very fast paced. You're just jump right into the plot. You're there with them from the Murderbot's perspective, and there's constantly things going wrong, so it's great. All right, then I wanted to get into, speaking of some kind of humorous type books, but this is the Bobiverse. The We Are Legion is book 1. It's actually the only one I've read, by Dennis E. Taylor. Just a lot of fun. I don't want to spoil anything, but essentially it's a lot of good just jokes, sci-fi. We Are Legion. I mean, a lot of these things, I think, in Bobiverse kind of like tell you exactly what this is to some degree, at least. But it's a lot of fun, and one I need to keep going on, but absolutely just a page turner. Very, very quick, and shorter books. So at least the first one, they might get longer. I don't know. I've only read the first one, but it was very quick. Then I don't think this list would be complete if I didn't mention a Blake Crouch. So I was going to go with Dark Matter. It's an easy one. There's the Apple TV Plus show. Seems to be doing pretty well. It's a good concept. I like Blake Crouch's kind of just more like near future, or kind of almost like present day science fiction, like things that could possibly be there, you know, and or you know, maybe just a little bit in the future we could get into, but this is a great kind of multiverse adventure that not everybody loves, again, I know, but again, fast-paced, very quick. You like, and like all Blake Crouch's, I could probably mention like his other books too, not to mention his collaboration with 3 other authors, Dracula's, which I highly recommend. Talk about a page turner and just awesome. But that's not science fiction. So, but Dark Matter, highly recommended, especially if you're interested in the show at all, but it's a blast. All right, then rounding it out, I do actually have this book and the trilogy, but I figured we'll bookend this with actual physical books. But this is one of my favorite, just fast-paced. You are jumping into this cool world. It's based around a very cool concept that I don't even want to spoil. Old Man's War. It is a little bit in the title, but it is one of these where I think it just does a really cool and interesting future that not necessarily, you know, it might be possible, it might be doable. It seems kind of possible to some degree, and just a good, let's say retirement for an older person who wants to go into the military again, I guess. But it's really, really cool, really good, just science fiction. This is further out in the future than a lot of these I've mentioned, but I cannot get enough of these. Scalzi's writing is just really fun and punchy. It's not super hard sci-fi. None of these are that I've mentioned have been like hard sci-fi. They're not like Alistair Reynolds, Peter F. Hamilton, where you're really getting dependent on the science in the science fiction. This is just, it's plucky, and they're good, fun characters to follow. So absolutely a blast. That's my list. Those are my 7-ish, 8-ish books that I highly recommend to bust a slump, to just to get a fast-paced read. And sometimes that's some things that are the only things people even care about. But I like to mix them up. I like to have some of these in between my longer series and whatnot. Can't recommend these enough. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.